how you doing? Welcome to my cooking show. I'm really excited to have you for my first day here. I don't know if you saw last night, I posted that spicy noodle challenge. The challenge itself was a success. It was actually pretty easy, but videotaping was an epic fail. So my 2x nuclear fire noodles came in today, and so I'll probably be doing those soon. So stay tuned. But for today, we're actually going to be doing some traditional Italian Ragu sauce. I had the vegetables I needed to use, and I had some meat in the freezer, and I want to make some lasagnas in probably about a week or two. So I thought I have time on this holiday weekend to get this done. So I already have all of my veggies washed, and we'll get on to that in a second. But I will be using my Ninja 6.5 quart foodie, which I absolutely love. If you don't have one of these or you've never heard of it, look it up. It's a pressure cooker, saute function. It has bake, roast, has air crisping, which is air frying, dehydrator, and also broiling function. This thing is amazing. Absolutely love it, and I'll probably be using it a lot in my cooking recipes. I also have the grill on the way, which I'm super excited about, so we'll probably do an unboxing video of that when I get it. But we're going to start off with these vegetables, and let's see how that goes. Yeah. Alright guys, so for this recipe we need 1.5 stalks of celery, which I'm going to be using all the leftovers of this stock for bone broth later. So I'm just going to go ahead and chunk it all up. One medium carrot, well, 1.5 medium carrots, and so I'm doing one small and one medium. Again, just going to chunk it all up. Actually, go ahead and these bigger pieces a little bit smaller here. Give my food processor a little head start. Just watch your fingers. Y'all, I know I don't have the best knife techniques. I'm working on it. I haven't cooked in a long time. I used to be really actually very good with my knife skills. So hopefully I'll get back to that soon. Just takes practice, but I didn't have a kitchen for a long time, and that was absolutely horrible, you guys. I couldn't stand it. So then this recipe also calls for 1 medium onion. I'm sorry, 1.5 medium onions. So I'm doing 1.5 times my original recipe, which is why it's like weird measurements of 1.5 of this and all that. So this is a little bit bigger than a medium onion. So I'm just going to use one of these kind of larger onions here. I think my knives need to be sharpened a wee bit. So I went to go edit the footage of my challenge last night. Guys, my iMovie's not working either. I recently switched to Windows for work, and so I haven't used my personal computer in quite a while, a few months. And I was using it for video editing before I switched over to my Windows, and it was working fine, but for some reason it is not opening. So These videos may be a little bit behind schedule on release. It's actually Memorial Day weekend right now, which is why I have some extra time to get started on this project of mine, which I'm so excited. I really hope that you enjoy my videos, and please, please, please give me some feedback on camera angles and just all that good stuff. I know lighting is probably pretty terrible right now. I just moved into this apartment, and so I'm kind of getting used to it. And like I said, I don't have my good camera, and I don't have my microphone yet. It's all on its way. I don't want to buy anything new since I already have something. So hopefully that will get better. And as I, get better at actually editing and stuff, I may cut out some of this if y'all want me to. If you want me to just kind of like snap my fingers and all the prep work's done, like, I can totally do that. We can make these short videos if you'd like. Just let me know in the comments what your preference is. So this recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. You guys, I don't use 3 cloves of garlic in anything. I love garlic. So don't ever let a recipe tell you how little garlic or how much garlic to put in. That is totally up to you. Garlic is so good for you. It's so good for your cardiovascular system. It's been linked with reducing the risks of cancer, heart disease. I mean, you name it. It's like anti-aging. It is so good for you. I highly recommend that you eat as much garlic as you can possibly stand. If you can stand it raw, that's even better for you. It's very hot though. It's got a very surprisingly spicy flavor when it's raw. I like it. I also just love to have some roasted garlic, maybe on a piece of toast. Pretty much any way that I can get garlic in makes me happy. When I do seafood boils, I always put like whole heads of garlic and I just eat them entirely. It's totally worth it. Also, I don't have a significant other, so I'm not worried about stinking them out of the house whenever I am smelling like garlic from my pores. Okay. So that's good. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to put the lid on our food processor here. New food processor too, so I'm getting used to how it works. My little scraper out of here. Scrape down the sides. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a blender for this, or if you just want to finely dice it, that works as well. I just figured I'd save some time. I was already using my food processor this morning for grating some cheese. I made breakfast tacos for my freezer. I do a lot of freezer meals, a lot of prep work for freezer meals, because I go through some days where I don't feel well and I really struggle to cook, but those are the days that I really need to cook healthy. So if I have things in my freezer, which I just got my freezer. It was a birthday gift. It's in my garage. I'm so excited. So now I can do my real prep work and have stuff on hand when I need it and I'm not up to cooking. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so you can see this is just nice and finely diced. I'm going to get some of this out of the way and we will get started on the actual cooking process. Alright, you guys, so I have my foodie preheating. Just put a little bit of olive oil down the bottom. This is a non-stick pan. So you don't have to worry about anything really sticking to it. It's good to give it a little bit of fat to get started with. So here I've got about a pound of ground beef. Normally the recipe calls for part ground beef, part pork, but this is what I had. I almost made a major fail. I knew better. First step is sauteing the veggies. So we're gonna get these in the pot first. Got a little scraper here. Oh, I love this thing. I think I got it at like Bed Bath & Beyond or H-E-B or Walmart or something. It's just a little silicone scraper, but it's perfect for if you need to get something out of like a little jar, or when I'm always trying to scrape the sides of my food processor or blender or whatever I've got stuff in, to get everything out of there. And if you get a foodie, or if you have a foodie, this is non-stick, like I said, so you do have to use either wooden or plastic or silicone utensils. Don't ever use metal in these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this is my ground beef chopper thing. Who needs to get more utensils dirty? Right? So I have this heat on medium-high, so if you're on the stovetop, just do the same. While those are going, I'm going to go ahead and open my bottle of wine that I'm using. Oh my goodness, it smells so good, y'all. Oh, it smells like garlic. It's my favorite. So we just need to fry this up until it gets a little bit brown, with all that water sweat out of the onions and carrots and all that good stuff. This is not I do want to try this recipe in the pressure cooker. I just know it won't get quite the same depth of flavor. It'll be really good, don't get me wrong. It will, but this is actually something that I learned part of these techniques and part of this recipe from a chef in Italy. I got to go there after my high school graduation, which was just amazing with my grandparents. Absolutely loved it. Learned how to make fresh pasta, sausage, homemade pizza dough, focaccia, and this along with many other things. So I'm just going to stick with this way of doing it because I love how it turns out, and I do at some point want to try, once I have this already unstocked in my freezer, I'll go ahead and try making some with the pressure cooker because it'll be a lot faster. This is a process. This is something you have a day to hang around and do this. This is the recipe for you, but if you need it done like that, you could probably stick it all in the slow cooker or stick it all in the pressure cooker and do it like that. And it'll taste fantastic. It just won't have quite the same depth of flavor. So you can use the same ingredients, just different cooking methods. Okay, so let me bring you guys over here and see how it's looking. Oh my gosh, look at all that steam. Oh, my battery is dying. Okay, so this is looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my meat and brown it up. I'll chop and stir gadget here. It's good. Alright, as you can see, it's all nice and brown. Look at how good that looks. I wish you could smell it. So now we start with the fun part. Turn this. Temperature is okay. Turn it to medium. So now we're going to do a series of adding wine and letting it reduce. So you let this cook, let the meat cook until it kind of starts to stick to the bottom of the pan. Won't really do that with the non-stick, but you'll kind of tell it gets all dry and it kind of gets a little bit crispy on the bottom. And then you just do about a half a cup of wine. A little zhuzhes there. So you're just going to let this reduce back down and let it start sticking to the pan again. It smells so good. This is the hardest thing for me is I'm not really supposed to stir this. So if you can just walk away, do it. It's the best. I have to get myself preoccupied with other things in order for that to happen. Actually, in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and we'll mix up our tomatoes with our basil. So I've got, this is 28 ounces of whole peeled tomatoes. And we're just going to add some basil leaves. I tore these from I have a little hydroponic garden behind me on my counter. I'll show that to you one day. That counter is a disaster right now. So this is fresh basil, just whatever you get from the superstore. The grocery store is perfect. Or if you have dried, that'll work as well. Just remember, dried is a more concentrated flavor, so you don't want to use as much. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a pinch of salt to this. Again, I like to season as I go. And I'll taste it along the way. Now that I don't have raw meat, I can start tasting. A little sprinkle of pepper. And you're really supposed to just do this with like a potato masher, something real rustic, but I don't have one. So I have lots of fancy gadgets. I don't have any of like the old school. Like I used to have a potato ricer, but it's still in Houston, and that would have worked really well. I actually love that. I just have to find room for it here. So we're just going to pulse this, make it a kind of chunky salsa looking thing. Perfect. Come on. There we go. Alright, let's see. Take a look at that. So that's the consistency you're looking for, just kind of like broken up. In Italy, we actually did it with our hands, which was awesome. So you can totally do that. I just didn't feel like doing that right now. So this started to get a little brown on the bottom again. So we're going to we'll stir and add another half a cup of red wine. Eyeball it. Oh my gosh. Y'all, this smells so good. I may end up having to have spaghetti today or tomorrow just so I can have some of this. I'll see what I can fit in my quart jars before I freeze it. I may have some left over. So I'm going to let that go for a couple more minutes. And I'm going to start cleaning up my kitchen a little bit. Alright, so we have added wine and reduced it 3 times. Now you can do that. I'd do it at least 3 to 5. Depends on how much wine you're adding each time. You can definitely smell the red wine. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, my glasses. They get so fogged up. So now we're going to go ahead and add the tomatoes. Tomatoes and basil, and salt and pepper. Oh, that smells good. I don't want to waste any of that goodness. Alright, so you don't really want to stir this. You can't see me, but I'm just kind of like spreading it out over the meat. I'll show you in just a second. So you don't want to stir, you just want to let it kind of like meld into the meat. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the temperature down to low. So just kind of let it meld on top there for a little bit. Let that simmer like that, and then we'll stir it in just a second. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and stir it since it's melded together with the meat. It's been about 10 minutes. Goodness, this smells amazing. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and taste it so I know what I need to add. The flavors will continue to concentrate because we're going to let it simmer for about 2 hours. This would actually be a really good point where you could add some liquid to it and do a pressure cook, or you could turn it on slow cook function or whatever if you wanted to step away and not sit here the whole time. Oh my gosh. That is fantastic. On point with the salt. That fresh basil. So good. I really like my pasta sauces a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add a little pinch of red pepper flakes. Take a look at that. Alright, so we've turned this down. I'm going to get it down to low. And we're going to go ahead and cover it. And we will check in on it periodically, come and stir, especially right now as it's still bubbling pretty well. And then I have some broth over here to the side. And we can go ahead and we can use that broth if the liquid gets low in here and we need to add something to keep it from sticking to the bottom. Like I said, we're going to let this simmer for about 2 hours probably. I have it on low. I may put it on slow cooker function also. We'll see. Haven't done it in the foodie before. I mean, you do want to keep it covered, so if you don't have a lid, get some foil or something like that to cover it up. And just come and check on it and make sure it's not sticking, and make sure you don't need to add any kind of liquid to it. And this is, I was mentioning before, this would be a really good time. So if you've ever made spaghetti, sorry for my dog, there's one walking around outside. If you've ever made spaghetti in the Instant Pot, right now is when you could add some broth and you could add your noodles and stuff, and you could go ahead and pressure cook this to the consistency that you like your pasta, and that would actually be great. Like I said, I'm going to be using this for lasagna down the road, so whatever I can fit in my freezer is going to go in my freezer until I'm ready to make lasagna in about a week or so. So I'm going to let this go, and we'll come check on it in a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out. I'm going to turn it off. It's hot. It's been simmering now for about 2.5 hours. I got caught on a phone call, so I couldn't come right at 2 hours, but I've been stirring it occasionally and making sure to put water or broth. I was going to use broth, but it didn't. Oh my gosh. Guys, this smells heavenly. It is, oh, it's amazing. You can definitely smell the red wine. Give it a final little taste here. That is perfect. It's got a little bit of kick from the red pepper flakes. Perfectly, I mean, it's amazing. That meat is so tender, but it's not like dry and crumbly. It's so good. After simmering for 2 hours, I mean, look at that. It is so beautiful. So beautiful. You can see the flecks of fresh basil and some garlic and onion in there. I cannot wait to make the lasagnas with this. This is going to be fantastic. Okay, so now that it's all done, all we have left to do is just put it in our jars so that we can get it in the freezer. Right now it would be perfect to go ahead and use on any kind of spaghetti. You could use this with spaghetti squash, in lasagna. This would be amazing for a chicken parmesan, just as the meat. Just any way that you would use a normal pasta sauce, ragu sauce, this would be delicious. And like I said, I like to keep some in the freezer, so that's why I made this batch. I'll probably make some more. I'm trying to use the pressure cooker feature of the foodie for anyone who would be interested in something that doesn't take quite this long. But it's fantastic. It really took me back to Italy and when I was cooking there. Let me get a ladle here. I remember when I was learning how to make this kind of sauce the first time, Chef Paula, who taught me, she said, you know, pressure cookers are amazing. They have made life so easy, but there's some things that you just don't want to rush. And this is one of those. And that's why I have not tried it with the pressure cooker feature. I am sure it would be delicious. It just wouldn't be quite the same. And so I am going to stick with my tried and true method for the most part. I do want to try it, like I said, for those who need something a little quicker. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for spending the evening with me while I cooked this for you. And I am really excited to get to make lasagna in a couple weeks with this. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be using fresh pasta or dried pasta, and that's kind of like, it'll just depend on how I'm feeling. But I'm actually going to also try my hand at doing my first pressure cooker lasagna. And so I am waiting for my springform pan, and I am pretty excited about that because I don't need a big old pan of lasagna for myself, let's be real. It's just me. But thank you so much. Let me know if you do try this recipe and how you like it. And if you have any recommendations for things you want to see me cook, just let me know and I will definitely get on that because I certainly love to have some help when I'm trying to decide what to eat and cook. I tend to go to my same old stuff, and that's one reason why I started this channel, so that I will try new things and really cook healthy, and I'm doing this for y'all and for me. But I hope you have a great night, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.